Welcome to Retirement Ramblings. I'm Scott, and today is day 75 on my countdown to retirement, plus a quick catch up for days 76 and 77. So, for day 77, I set up CBS Sunday Morning to record on my TiVo Romeo, and then I watched DVR recordings of Watson, FBI, and Closing Bell. And then once I was caught up on the programming that I had previously set up on my DirecTV DVR, I disconnected my last DirecTV box, and then I installed Amazon Fire Stick on the last of my televisions, got that set up with Sling, so everything was configured there. Then I logged in to my DirecTV account, and I submitted the cancellation, and apparently it takes 3 business days for the cancellation to process, and then they're supposed to be able to send you back an email telling you it's confirmed. And also, when you go to log into your account, you should get a pop-up window that tells you that it's been canceled. And in my case, my account is still good through the end of the month of October. So if I needed to hook back up the boxes, I could, and I could still watch programming through the end of the month. Although everything seems to be working between my TiVo Romeo and Sling, so I'm able to get everything that we want. So that's good. And so once I receive the confirmation, I'll be happy about that. And then I paid my semi-annual car insurance on both of our vehicles, and amazingly enough, the cost dropped 5% this renewal period. So I was, super happy with that, and we're good. We're good to go for another 6 months. Then on day 76, my wife was having some issues playing Bingo Blitz, which is a game that she uses via Facebook, along with some other games that she likes to play. But I wasn't sure if it was her computer, was it the Wi-Fi, was it the game. So ultimately, I downloaded speedtest.net, the app, as well as just went to their website, and then I ran the performance testing for the Wi-Fi, and she was getting north of 100 megabits per second. So it should have been plenty sufficient for her games, but we have a 1 gigabit fiber connection coming to our home, and so over the Wi-Fi I was expecting her to be getting closer to 400 megabits per second where the current her current desk is set up, and I know for sure because for work I have a hardwired connection directly into the router, and I get 960 megabits per second directly connecting into the router. So I know that we're getting the right amount of data into the house, and then it's simply a matter of what percentage drop off you get based on the distance from your router to the Wi-Fi device, what Wi-Fi cards you're using in your laptop or PC or whatever. So anyway, since she was getting decent performance, I was thinking, well, maybe it's where the computer's located. So I disassembled her computer and I moved it into our sunroom, which is probably, 15, 20 feet from where the router on that side of our house sits. So she should get, she had line of sight. She would be able to get exactly whatever she needed. Set it up. Unfortunately, she didn't get any better performance, so it just could be the Wi-Fi card she has in her PC. I don't know. Anyway, she was able to get into the game, though, in that particular room. So she asked me to set her up in that room instead. It had better natural light, and so, she would be happier in there. So I moved all of her stuff in there, got everything reset back up. And so far, she hasn't been experiencing any issues since I reset it back up. So far, so good. Happy wife, happy life. So then after getting that done, in the afternoon, I ran over to Kroger because I wanted to get my 4X fuel points for the month. And I was able to purchase Butterball whole turkey for 99 cents a pound in their run-up before Thanksgiving. Because I know for me it's going to start going back up again. So I wanted to get that out of the way, and then I picked up some snow crab for $9.99 a pound, Bertolli pasta sauce for $1.49 each, 6 ounces of blackberry per container, and that was $1.88 each. And then they had 6 packs of 16.9 ounce bottles of Diet Coke for $3.49 each, which is a decent price in my area. And then I picked up party size Ruffles and Tostitos scoops for $3.99 each. And then my wife was getting into her fall cleaning mode, and she decided she was going to hand wash all the floor runners that we have in the house, which are quite a few. So she went out onto our patio, and then she, hand washed those and scrubbed them down. And then I helped her lay the rugs over our fence to drip dry, as well as being in the sun. And then I spoke with my son for about 50 minutes, and he was updating me on, how his business venture is going. And unbeknownst to me and unbeknownst to him, my wife was on the other line talking to his wife. So they were catching up on her pregnancy and other things. And so, when we got off, we could sit down with our wives and we could exchange information. So I could tell her about my son's discussion, and she could tell me about my daughter-in-law's discussion with her. So, it was pretty funny. Anyway, then day 75, which was this morning, my wife completed hand washing the last of the runners, and then we laid them out to dry in the sun. And in fact, they're still out there, and I'm going to need to go pick them up. And then I did my weekly financial review, and we ended up 0.99% for the week. So we're now up 12.13% for the year across our portfolio. And I was able to purchase Citibank before earnings this week. And I also purchased the Sector Spider Financials ETF, symbol XLF, this week, using portions of the proceeds I got from liquidating a portion of my Oracle shares. And I wanted to move more into financials and get better exposure there as the Fed starts to ramp up its cutting cycle, which I expect to begin in earnest later this month. So that was the reason, at least in my head, of why I needed to reapportion the money out of technology and into the financials. And again, the financials have run up, but Citigroup is the laggard of the group with regard to its book analysis. So anyway, that's why I decided to go kind of overweight to Citibank and then just buy the whole group through the XLF. And then the stock market as a whole ended the week up. The Dow Jones Industrial Average finished up 1.6% to 46,191. The S&P 500 was up 1.7% at 6,664. The Nasdaq was up 2.1% to 22,680, and the Russell 2000 ended up 2.4% at 2,452. And all 11 sectors of the S&P 500 were up for the week, and the winner for the week was telecom, up 3.6%, and the laggard for the week was financials, which were flat, even though most of the earnings reports were very good. And then WTI crude was down 2.3% for the week at $57.54 a barrel. Gold continued its run up. It was up 5.3% this week to $4,213.30 a troy ounce. Natural gas was down 3.2% to $3.08. And then international markets ended the week mixed. The winner for the week was France, and it was up 3.2% to 8,174. And Hong Kong was again the loser for the week, this week down 4% to 25,247. So after doing the financial analysis and sending that data over to my wife, we ended up grabbing some coupons and going out to Arby's for lunch. They had a 4 for 10 special running, and we just wanted something different. So we went there, got the 4 for 10, and then we double up the meat. So we take the meat from both sandwiches, put it together on one sandwich, and then get rid of the extra bread. And so we got a kind of a double stack on Arby's. And then we ran over to Publix across the street from the Arby's that we were eating at. And I was able to get 5 really nice porterhouse steaks because the Publix close to my house didn't have any. They only had T-bones. And I don't remember if I told you guys this, but I'll just say, when I went to my normal one, and the guy there saw me looking through the case, and I was moving all of them around, and I didn't take any. And he was like, "Well, what's wrong with them?" And I was like, "Well, you only have T-bones, and I want porterhouse." And he's like, "Well, what's the difference?" And I said, "Well, porter," and obviously as a butcher he would know this, but basically what I said to him was, "Well, the porterhouse has a fillet on one side and the New York strip section on the other side, and a fillet normally costs like $25 a pound, right? And a New York strip, depending on where you get it, you can get it like $10, $11 a pound. Maybe it's more depending on where you are. Anyway, in my head, I can justify the cost at $13.99 a pound on a porterhouse because my wife's going to get her fillet. I'm going to get my New York strip. So let's say that the porterhouse ends up costing like $22, something like that, right? Well, for $22, both of us are getting our steak dinner, right, which is way better than I would get if I went out somewhere, and we were each getting our preferred steak. I mean, she likes filet for the tenderness and such, and I prefer for the flavor the New York strip. So anyway, he understood he understood that, and I was like, that's why I didn't end up buying it, because for $13.99 for a T-bone, like I feel like I'm overpaying for the New York strip because I can get it somewhere else cheaper. But when you add that, like I said, when you add the filet portion onto it and you blend the cost together, I can justify the $13.99 a pound. Anyway, so I picked up those. Then we drove over to Walmart, and I had to pick up some distilled water and napkins and some omeprazole for my wife, and then some soup and canned vegetables. Then we went across the street from the Walmart to a Lidl that we have, and I was able to pick up Jenny O bone-in turkey breast for 99 cents a pound, along with 3 pounds of headless Gulf shrimp for $7.99 a pound. So then I went home. Then I went home. I dropped off the food, and then once I was done with that, I loaded a dolly that I have in my truck, and I went over to a friend of mine's house to drop the dolly off to him because his daughter's boyfriend just broke up with her after living together. They've been dating for 5 years. They're on a lease together. They've been living together for several years. And they just came back from a 2-week European vacation that they had a good time on. And then, like literally, they went out and celebrated their 5th dating anniversary. And the day afterwards, he tells her he wants to break up, which again makes no sense to me, but whatever. I don't know what's going behind it, but needless to say, she's devastated, and so now they have to find another. Even though they're both on the lease, and I don't know how they're going to work this out, but he wanted the dolly so he could go down, help his daughter move to another location, and so I provided it to him. That's that. And then on my way home from his house, I stopped at Kroger because they were running a 2-day sale, and I was able to get 3 packages of pork back ribs, which are baby backs, for $1.99 a pound, which is phenomenal in my area. They're normally $4.99 a pound. So I definitely wanted to get them. They had a maximum of 3 that you could purchase, so that's what I bought. And then I also picked up an 8-pound bag of russet potatoes for $3.99 that were on this 2-day special, and a 5-pound bag of mandarins for $4.77. So my shopping is done for the week, unless I need some vegetables or something. But our freezers are completely packed now, so I shouldn't have to go buy any kind of proteins, probably for a couple of weeks. But that's my update for today. yesterday, and the day before yesterday. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below or drop me an email at myretirementramblings@gmail.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great evening, and until tomorrow, take care.